Welcome back to another episode of Video Game Food in Real Life. Today I'll be making the Bunny Dango from Monsterhunterrise. In my opinion, the closest thing in real life to Bunny Dango would be Hanami Dango from Japan. For my version of Hanami Dango, we're going to be using Mochiko Rice Flour as our base and a bunch of freeze-dried fruits blitzed into powder for color and flavor. I was trying to make my flavors game accurate, so I thought we would be using these berries and tropical fruits to be making the flavors Berry Safe, Amble Ramble, Dizzy Bloom, Moon Gaze, and Magna Roar / Magna Crisp. For the green color, I'll be using matcha, and that's going to represent the balancing / centering flavor or the medicinal flavor. And of course, we're going to be using tofu because that's a staple in Hanami Dango. So first things first, you're going to blend up all of your fruit into powder. You want to do your fruit before the tofu so nothing wet gets inside your food processor. Here's a quick look at my consistency. It was hard to get it to be finer because it started clumping together because of the sugar. And now we'll move to the tofu. The tofu is super easy. Just gonna blend it until completely smooth. If you don't have a food processor, you can always use a blender. Transfer the tofu to another bowl and we're going to start making the dango base. Add in a ½ cup of sugar followed by 1½ cups of Mochiko rice flour. You're going to be mixing this until fully combined. It's going to look weird at first, but it does come all together. Then you're going to knead with your hand until fully smooth. Sprinkle some extra rice flour onto a cutting board, then put your dough in the center. Roll it out into a smooth log so it's easier to cut into equal-sized pieces. I'm using a bench scraper just to cut them into equal-sized pieces. You're gonna go for 3 pieces on each side. I did end up using a kitchen scale after this to weigh them out too, but eyeballing is okay. I'm doing this so I can make sure I have enough dough to make at least 4 dangos per flavor. So these big chunks are just the base for each flavor. You're going to cover it with plastic wrap while you work with each flavor. I'm just going to show you guys how to do one flavor in full. I'm starting with the matcha, or known as the medicinal / balancing / center flavor. I added 1 packet of matcha powder, which is about 2½ tablespoons of matcha powder. You're going to knead it into the dough until nice and smooth, round it back out into a ball, and cover it with plastic wrap while you do the rest of the flavors. I wanted to do 1 pure white for the color, so I left that one alone, and that will be the original Hanami Dango flavor as well. So once you have all your flavors, you're just going to divide each big flavor block into 4 small balls. Again, I do use a kitchen scale for this, but you don't have to. You can totally eyeball it. My measurements came out to be about 1.23 ounces per dango ball. And it actually worked for every flavor as well. Skip ahead if you don't want to see this montage, but these are all the flavors I've created for today's Bunny Dangos. We'll be cooking all of the dango separately so the colors don't bleed together. You're just going to be using plain boiling water to cook the dango. These dango are pretty big. I should have made them smaller, so you're going to cook them for between 8 to 15 minutes. Once they're done cooking, immediately shock them into an ice bath. This stops the cooking process so it won't make your dango weird, runny, and gummy, and it also makes the texture extra springy and bouncy. Transfer the chilled dango onto a plate that has some water on it so your dango won't stick to the plate. Once all of your dango flavors are cooked, you're going to assemble them onto the skewers. To make the iconic Bunny Dango skewer, you're going to want to use 2 skewers so you have the bunny ears at the top. I couldn't find a single skewer that had the 2 prongs at the top that was big enough to do this, so this is why I'm using 2 skewers. The downside of using 2 skewers is that it will cut out a chunk of the dango once you push it to the top, so just pick that out and clean up the tips to have those bunny ears. I'm using some sheet nori that I cut into shapes to make the eyes and the mouth. Look how cute it is! It's totally coming along. Now you're just going to repeat everything until all of your bunny dango is made and all of your faces are on. Now here's another montage of everything being done again. Skip forward to the next section if you just want to move along. The final thing you have to do is brush your presentation plate with some mirin to make sure your dango doesn't stick to the plate. Bon appetit! Bunny Dango is served. How cute are these? I hope you guys like them. And now I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what they taste like. The texture itself is very light, springy, and chewy. It's slightly sweet, and thank goodness I added in the fruit, otherwise there would be no flavor. I used about a 1/4 cup of fruit powder from each of the freeze-dried fruits because I feel like it really needed the flavor and the color. Let me know what you guys think. I want to know if you think this looks like Bunny Dango, if I'm using the terminology correctly. This is just how I think about it in my head, and I think it's just so fun to bring it to life. You could really make any flavor you want from in-game or real-life inspirations. So please let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you next time. Bye!